Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentek PC product showcase. Today's product showcase is going to be featuring the brand new Asus GL702VS. In a nutshell, the 702VS is going to be a 17-inch gaming laptop that's targeted to be thin and light, that has lots of processing power with the brand new 7th generation Core i7 Kaby Lake CPU, and also we have a full-blown NVIDIA GTX1070 with 8 GB of video RAM on board. We'll start things off with just unboxing it for you so you can see what you get inside of the box, what to expect, and of course we'll get into all of the detailed specs and benchmarks later on in the review. So for the unboxing process, we've already got the inside box open for you. You can see the laptop was immediately on the top, and right underneath that in the center compartment we have our power adapter. Here's a quick close-up so you can look at the power adapter specs. Now over on the right hand side, this is the other half of the power adapter. This will be the power adapter cable designed for your region. Now stepping right out of the box and onto the scale, we can get the weight of the laptop at 6 pounds and 9 ounces. And of course you're going to want the full travel weight with the power adapter included, and that puts you down to 8 pounds and 7 ounces. Okay, now that we got the weight out of the way, let's go ahead and move into our measurements for size. We have the coins up there for perspective, and of course an actual measure here for the precise measurements. Now the rear is just a little over an inch. And you'll see that the front side is actually very close, just a slight taper at the edge to make it look a little bit thinner, but overall about the same height on the back and the front sides. Alright, now moving into the very first boot up, we've moved straight into the BIOS. As you can see, this is a very animated BIOS here. We have lots of options. It's very point and click and not the old text-based BIOS that you're used to seeing. So we'll sort of flip through some of the options here just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. Your storage devices, USB ports, the screen's resolution, 1920 by 1080p, shows the BIOS version, your CPU, RAM, all your different hardware inside of here, fan control and current fan speeds, and the current temperatures. And moving over to the advanced menu, you get even more information and of course more options as well. Alright, it's time for the very first benchmark of the video, and that's going to be the boot speed test using a phone for a timer. We're of course going to see how fast that solid state disk can get us inside of the operating system fully loaded. And we're looking at about 12 seconds boot speed. Alright, so now that the unit is powered up and ready to go, it's time to take a tour of the outside before we get into the system and look at the inside features. Starting with the outside keyboard, you can see it's a low profile chiclet style keyboard that does have the red LED backlighting. So it is only a single color, but you can of course turn it from low to high brightness and turn it off completely if you don't want it on. We have the embedded arrow keys and the full number pad layout on the right hand side. Now for the touchpad, you can see it's a nice large touchpad with the integrated left and right clicks. Alright, so now it's time to do a 360-degree tour of the outside perimeter and look at all the interfaces. Of course, the front side has our status LEDs. And we'll sweep over to the right hand side to look at the connectivity over there. Now to the right hand side, it's pretty standard. We do have our multi-card reader, two USB 3.0 ports, and of course our lock port up there if you want to lock the laptop down. To the back side of the laptop is just across the entire back plane there, ventilation, so there's no connections on the back side. Now all the major connectivity is over here on the left hand side. Starting from the left, we have the DC power port for charging and running off of mains power, RJ45 for the local networking, mini display port output, HDMI output, the USB 3.1 Type-C with Thunderbolt enabled, a third USB 3.0 port, and finally a 3.5mm connection for your headphones. Now that pretty much wraps it up for the outside of the laptop. We'll go ahead and close the lid and give you one more spin around before we move into the inside of the computer looking at the System Device Manager. Alright, so here we are in the Device Manager, a sneak peek at the internal hardware. You can see the NVIDIA GTX1070 dedicated graphics card, and of course the Intel i7 7700HQ CPU. Now the screen here, if you want to look up the panel, is a 1920 by 1080p panel, but it has 120 Hz refresh rate, and it is also compatible with the NVIDIA G-Sync. And as you can see right now, we do have the G-Sync enabled. So here we are in the Republic of Gamers software. The Gaming Center has an overview of our device information, shows our current CPU speed and temperature. And we can set up a few different system presets here to kind of set different modes for gaming, productivity. It's a really nice looking piece of software, that's for sure. And of course, we'll flip through it a little bit for you. Alright, so the next section of the video is going to be all about benchmarks and performance scores. So we're going to start things off with a sound benchmark. We're going to determine if the system has a very quiet or a very loud cooling system using a noise meter. So right now we're at an idle state getting those baseline levels, and then of course in a minute we'll throw one of the performance benchmarks on and we'll take those readings again. Now the best way to use these numbers is just to watch more than one review, and we have these same scores for all the different laptops, and you can easily compare one laptop to the other. Also, another benchmark we do is not just the system's cooling noise levels, but also the system cooling itself. How well does that system keep itself cool, not just on the inside with the benchmarks, but also on the outside where you might be touching it. So you can see here where the hot spots are. The most important thing to look for here is going to be where your hands would be sitting. The palm area needs to be nice and cool. And of course, where the system should be getting rid of the heat on the exhaust, you want to see it be very hot, because that means it's actually getting rid of the heat like it's supposed to. And you can see pretty much like a jet stream effect here where the exhaust is pulling all that hot air out. Alright, so now that we have one of the performance benchmarks running, we'll go back and check these noise levels again and see how they do under load. And of course we go back and check our temperatures again once the system's under a higher load as well. Alright, it's time to check in with some of the results. First up is Fire Strike. We got a score of 12,733. You can see here the graphs of the frames per second and temperatures. And here we have the full GPU Z information on the GTX1070 mobile. G-Sync was not enabled during that test. And of course over here we have all the temperatures that we ran during that test. So as you can see, the CPU about 90 degrees Celsius max. And down below a little bit further, the video card at 7 degrees Celsius max. So the CPU stayed really cool. CPU got a little bit warmer but well within spec. Now next up is going to be the speaker test.
Venting CO2.
Alright, so now here we are moving into the last part of our review for this laptop. We're going to be turning things upside down and doing a disassembly for you. So there are several long screws along the perimeter that have to come out to get the bottom panel off. Now once we take the whole bottom panel off, you can see everything inside. Now keep in mind, if you want to do any upgrades to a brand new system, it might be in the best interest to preserve your warranty and have those upgrades done in-house through the ordering process. But of course, once your warranty is out, if you want to open it up and add some extra things like a second slot of RAM here or upgrade your SSDs, that's totally possible to do. So over here is going to be an M2 format SSD. Of course, we had our system RAM slots near the center, the large internal battery, and a 2.5-inch disc down below. This is going to be our Wi-Fi module. And you can see the two exhaust fans at the top. Now taking apart the cooling system, once we lift the heat pipe whole assembly unit off, we can see the GPU and CPU and the low profile cooling fans. And that, everybody, is going to be bringing the review to a close for the Asus Republic of Gamers GL702VS. So we do hope you enjoyed our review and you found it entertaining and informative. Of course, if you'd like more information on this product, we have the full system specs on our product page. That link is down below in the video description. If you have any questions you'd like to ask them down below in the comment section. We'll be happy to answer those for you and everybody else. And if you need one-on-one help, then feel free to contact us by phone or email, and we'll be sure to help you out. So once again, we just want to remind you this was Gentech PC, and we'll see you next time.